everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from a little too hot Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, people are coming for Jesus. They are just hell-bent on getting, well, people are coming for white Jesus.
Oh, right? They don't like that guy anymore.
And
he
we're
is
and we're going to talk about
persona
white
non
Jesus.
grata.
Yeah. And certain implications about, white supremacy and
what it means.
All that.
What it all means.
yeah.
We'll see. We shall see.
But coming up first.
Yeah.
A survey.
Oh?
A
You love a good survey.
Taken by the American Enterprise Institute has shown that 64% of American churchgoers were somewhat uncomfortable or very uncomfortable with attending in-person worship.
64%?
64%. In fact, what they found was basically only one group is gung-ho on going back to church, and that's white evangelicals.
Right.
No surprise there if you
No.
follow the news.
No.
If you add up their somewhat comfortables and their very comfortables, it's 61% of them are all about it.
Wow.
34% of them are very comfortable with going back to church.
Yeah, because not only do they get to engage in the worship that is so important to them, but also they get to pwn the libs, show us what idiots we are.
Yeah. So apparently, even those who reported that their congregations actually offered in-person worship last week, 56% of respondents said they chose not to go.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, one of the sort of hot spots repeatedly everywhere that COVID is, it seems like churches just keep popping up. Like, that was one of the first stories coming out of South Korea, right? Was that there was a church, like a crazy culty church, but nonetheless,
I think that's all they have.
Probably. But that was one of the hot spots, and that was one of the big spreaders of COVID-19. And obviously we're seeing that in the United States. We're just seeing it, right? Like, this is obvious. Right. These are the kinds of places that people who care about their health and their community's health should be staying away from. And a lot of Christians actually do agree with that, depending on their denomination. If you look at Black Protestants and add their numbers up, 68% are either somewhat uncomfortable or very uncomfortable.
Good for them. Well, yeah, because this thing is killing them in disproportionate numbers. So
absolutely.
I can see why.
Hispanic Catholics, 73% are on the uncomfortable side.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a number. That means something.
Yeah, and your white mainline Protestants, it's 63%.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was talking to my mom. Hi, Mom, if you're listening. The other day, and she was saying that she attends often attends a Canadian Anglican church. She goes there mostly for the free coffee, I think. Anyway,
and the music, doesn't she really like the music?
Yeah, no, it's the camaraderie and the people. Yeah. She loves the people there, and I don't blame her for that at all. Anywho, she said that they're not going to be going until like late in the fall at the earliest.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
fantastic.
That's not even an option. So I mean, they're doing it right up there. I don't know about what the Anglicans are doing down here, but
well, I guess
they're Episcopal here. So
yeah, definitely not Anglican. We broke off from that country, Diane.
Yeah, exactly.
And anyway, I just think it's kind of interesting to contemplate where people's it raises an interesting thing, right? Like, it does ask people where their priorities are, right?
Right.
And this is something that it's really supposedly really important to them, going to church, right?
Right.
And their belief in God. And one of the things that their God requires of them is to be active participants in their religious community. I would assume that's why they go, right?
Right.
And because why? Like, honestly, I mean, God bless your mother and everything. I guess friends get you there, right? Like, I guess that's one reason, but most people, I think, are trying to earn points in heaven, right?
Sure.
And so, anyway, where was my point?
Where was my point? That's the new memoir. That's the title of your memoir now.
I don't lose it that often. So my point is that when you look at where people are putting their priorities, right? They're having to do this balancing act between their health and God, right? And their temporal needs are, for most people, they're proving that they are actually rational actors. They're choosing their health. They're choosing the tangible. They're choosing what is right in front of them over what the evangelicals are actually the good Christians. They're the good believers in this game, right? They're actually the good ones because they're not letting some dumb disease get in the way. Their God demands it of them, and they're going and they're doing it.
Yeah, if they die, they go to heaven, and what
it's
could
God's
be better?
will, right? And
Yeah.
I've heard that. I've heard that quote.
Yeah.
In me. Well, I haven't. In articles I've read, I've seen that quote where people are just like, they're like, yeah, like, if I get it, it's God's will. God's will be done. And it's like, ugh.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid.
But they're the good ones.
Yeah.
They're
It's
the ones
true.
God wants, right?
Well, I mean, as is so often the case in these in these situations, it's like, yes, the bad thing is the more Christian thing. It's just that's not something to be proud of.
The people with the more broken brains are the more Christian.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you take any of Christianity to its logical conclusion, you're not going to like what you see. It doesn't end up well for you. Anyway, I'm going to take us to recently, you know the name Dr. Fauci, who is Anthony Fauci, the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases here in these United States, which I'm surprised he's still the director of. It's kind of shocking that he hasn't been fired yet for actually saying the truth about and trying to be a reasonable voice in this pandemic.
Well, he polls better than Trump, so...
well, that right there is enough for firing. That's worth a firing right there. Anywho, so he was apparently speaking to a group. I don't remember who, or maybe it was on CNN. I think he was on CNN, and he was just really disappointed in what's happening in this country, as he should be. And he said, quote, "One of the problems we face in the United States is that unfortunately there is a combination of an anti-science bias that people are, for reasons that sometimes are, inconceivable and not understandable, they just don't believe science and they don't believe authority." He went on to say that, and I quibble with this wording. I don't like this wording. But he said that this was all unfortunate because, science is truth. Now, science isn't truth. Science is the pursuit of truth. But it is certainly a closer shot at truth than, religion. And but of course, religion's who's going to take issue with Dr. Fauci's statement. And that's where we enter Franklin Graham. Are you still there, by the way?
Yes, I am.
I just was worried suddenly that I had lost you because you were...
I'm listening, Dan.
Abnormally silent. Anyway, okay. We'll go on. Enter into the fray Franklin Graham, son of Billy, who has to make himself relevant somehow other than being the son of somebody, and decided to jump onto Facebook and say and let us all know how wrong Dr. Fauci was, because, quote, "Science isn't truth, God is." Yeah. Right. He had a whole bunch of things to say about how if science has, or if America has an anti-science bias, it's because science keeps changing its mind, man. So how are we supposed to trust it? Which is hilarious, because that's exactly what makes science credible, is that every time new information comes in, it figures out that, oh, we have to reformulate and change our mind.
Exactly.
Whereas, in sharp contrast, what Graham goes after is, what he loves is the Bible, which doesn't change its mind ever and is wrong all of the times. It's just currently wrong, and then was wrong, and will continue to be wrong, and that kind of consistency is what he's looking for.
Some people, though, that's what they like.
Yeah.
That rock,
Yeah. He did an amazing thing where he said, let me see if I can find the quote, because he was talking about science and how it works and why it's hard to believe. Let's see. Oh, here we go. He said, as an example, the early Imperial College London coronavirus model has since proven wrong, and disputes continue today between experts about the model used more recently in the U.S. And, sorry, I can't even make this transition. He pivots so hard here, I almost died. Here we go. I'll go back a little bit, and I'll try and ramp up to this transition again. We'll try it. We'll see if I can make it happen. Let's see. Disputes continue today between experts about the model used more recently in the U.S. And man did not evolve from apes or tadpoles, as many scientists say. That's just not true. God created man and woman, as the Bible says. What are you talking about, Franklin Graham? He just throws that one. He just sneaks that one in there.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, you that was a hell of a pivot. Anyway, yeah, science does change its mind. It's true. The second they get better information, boy.
Yep. And I bet you anything that you're going to like that cancer treatment that they have today versus the cancer treatment they had 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Right. Like,
and 20 years from now, when they change their mind about that one, you'll like that one too.
You'll like the new one, right? Hence.
Yeah. Just some consistency. Man. That's all we're asking for. Just stop changing. Idiot.
Oh, golly gee. Well, Dan.
Yeah.
I've got a story here that actually is surprising if you put it in the context of a religion.
Okay.
And their response to what's going on in the world at the moment. It's kind of almost shocking when you look at our current situation. But Saudi Arabia,
yes,
right, has not canceled Hajj this year. That's the annual pilgrimage to Mecca,
right?
That every Muslim is required to do at some point in their life. They're not canceling it, but because of the coronavirus, they're only allowing, quote, very limited numbers of people that will be allowed to actually perform the pilgrimage and all of its little, rites and everything that you do. It is cuckoo crazy town, and you should look up some video footage of it if you ever get the chance there, people. But
of Hajj,
yeah, it's like it's crazy shit. I mean, at one point they're throwing stones at a wall that represents Satan. I mean, and it's
I love that moment. Fuck you, wall.
And running back and forth in this like covered, what used to not be covered, but it's this path between one place and another, and they have to run back and forth, and it's like a long distance because supposedly Muhammad did that.
Right. It's the world's dumbest game of tag.
And the Saudi government has actually built up a lot of infrastructure to facilitate all of their crazy activities. And in this part, they have this sort of long covered colonnade thing with ceiling fans this entire stretch of the way, trying to create some breeze for these poor fuckers who are running back and forth in possibly very, very hot and very likely very hot circumstances. But anyway, they're only going to, so basically you already have to be residing in the country in order to participate this year, which, they do have a lot of nationalities, I guess, represented already in Saudi Arabia. So it's not going to not have an international flavor, but it will be very limited. And, there you have it. This is the first time in 90 years of the Saudi government as it currently stands, that they've ever canceled the Hajj, that they've ever gotten in the way of it. I don't know historically if there's ever been a year when Hajj did not happen because of whatever was going on in the world.
Right. It's one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Doing this whole huge. Mecca thing is a big deal.
Is a big deal.
So,
and it is normally a mob scene. This year it will not be. But anyway, they're looking at the risk, and they're like, no, this isn't going to happen. We're not letting people in. We're not going to let. Because could you imagine?
Oh my God! Well, it's it's millions of people descend on this tiny town, and because Mecca's not a big city.
No way to social distance in any way, shape, or form. The largest, mosque in all of Islam is there, and the thing is fucking ridiculous. I think they have an actual hospital emergency room in the middle of it somewhere.
Oh, probably.
Because with that many people ever congregating in one area, someone's going to have a heart attack, or somebody's going to hurt themselves, or somebody's appendix is going to it's just statistically real shit always happens during Hajj. Right. And so they've fucking built the whole thing out, and it's insane. So good. Good on you, Saudi Arabia. You did one thing right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's great. I'm going to tell us now a story about Muslims here in these United States.
Oh yeah,
and actually, Muslims doing a nice thing too. So
what?
What is happening in the world?
Are we pro-Islam all of a sudden?
I know we're very we're this. I mean, it is the editorial position of this show that Muslims are good. No, so there's a group called the All Muslim Association of America that apparently is trying to they own they're based in Virginia, and they own a cemetery there. So that's nice, and it's just a Muslim cemetery, and they actually try to help get good, get Muslim compliant burials for people who can't afford them, for Muslims who can't afford them, which is fine. I have no problem with that. They are, however, running out of space in that particular cemetery. So in May of 2015, they purchased another 45 acres in Stafford County so that they could have a new cemetery. Now, the county's cemetery ordinances were totally in line. They made sure that they dotted all their Q's and crossed all their I's. And so everything was fine. Everything was zoned properly and whatever. But the following year, just as the other cemetery was running out of plots, the county amended one of their ordinances to say that they were no longer in compliance. They basically changed the ordinance and made it so that cemeteries, you couldn't have a cemetery within 900 feet of private wells, reservoirs, or streams that drain into reservoirs, and pretty much all of the of the land that they bought was within 900 feet.
Oh.
So they did it specific, mind you, that's at least 9 times the distance that the Virginia Department of Health requires.
They're just being extra careful.
Right. Yes,
they
indeed.
really are concerned about their water.
Yeah, they don't want body parts floating up in somebody's well.
Because that happens all the time.
Yeah, because that's the danger, right? You get some Muslim finger popping up in your drink. So
better not be alcoholic.
Right, yeah. So, now the U.S. Department of Justice has filed a lawsuit against the county for quote, imposing restrictive zoning requirements.
Okay.
Just so, it's nice that the bias in this country isn't just racial. It's also against, religions. We do good here at Bias.
Yeah. But don't you think sometimes when it's basically racist? Racism.
Oh, it's mostly racism.
Yeah.
But I mean, they definitely. I mean, while they hate people of color, they really also. I mean, people of color who believe in who use the wrong name for the exact same God, they hate those guys the most.
Yeah, it's pretty true. Oh goodness, Dan. I've got some good news.
More
good news.
Our show is all sweetness and light this week.
And in this world, Dan, it's really important that
I could use it, I'll tell you.
Well, anyway, one of the largest conversion therapy groups in the country has announced that they are disbanding.
Oh.
It's the Hope for Wholeness group. This is the one that was actually headed by McCrae Game, who came out. He sort of stepped down a couple years ago from his position as director of Hope for Wholeness or Wholeness, and he was the founder of the thing and everything. He ended up denouncing the group, came out as gay, blah 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 blah. So that's this group, and apparently they've had a hard time finding anybody else to really run the thing with the same sort of fervor and self-hatred as
you need a healthy portion of self-loathing to do that shit.
You do, like to dedicate your life to it. There's a good chance that there's something that led you there, right?
Yeah.
It's not just you're concerned for the game. No.
I'll prove myself to you someday, Daddy.
And then you end up espousing all these horrible practices, right?
You end up torturing people,
and making the craziest recommendations for how to be a man, right? You need to ride a motorcycle, you need to play sports, you know. And it's really is that what all straight men do?
Yeah, right.
No,
you need to. What you need to do is look at porn of women. That's what you need.
Well, they should be. That would be a better recommendation.
I'm pretty sure some of them do. Even the Christian ones. I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure.
Sometimes.
Terrible recommendation. Anyway, the board got together, looked at their finances, looked at sort of just their general situation, lack of interest, etc. Also probably the fact that they're the board of a hate group. And they've decided to dismantle the organization. They're going to give all the money over to another ex-gay ministry thing. And and hopefully in a few years that the leader of that group will come out as gay. Right. And then that group will have a hard time. The next group that's getting the money is it's called Abba's Delight or Abba's Delight.
No. Would you think that would be a very, very pro-gay organization?
That's how they lure you in. You're like, I like Abba. I like Abba.
They've got Waterloo playing out in the lobby, and you feel safe.
That can't be this. I now don't believe this article. When I read it earlier, it was ABBA in my head, and then I was like, no, wait, that's ABBA. Located in Louisville, Kentucky, they quote deal with unwanted same-gender attractions.
Oh,
and good luck, everybody.
Yep. Just because it's never worked before doesn't mean it can't work this time. That should be their motto.
Maybe you're the lucky one.
Maybe you're the guy. Come on in. Let's try some torture on, see how it fits. Good Lord. Okay, well, I'm going to close this out in Nashville, Tennessee, where the editor of the local paper, the Nashville Tennessean, is in a bit of hot water and a bit of a tizzy over an ad, a full-page ad that ran in their paper that apparently got by a whole bunch of people and just ran, and maybe possibly shouldn't have run. This ad was placed by an offshoot of Seventh-day Adventists, and boy, when they offshoot hard. Wasn't the Branch Davidians a Seventh-day Adventist offshoot?
They were, yeah.
Woo, you got to look out for those guys. Anyway, this ad from the quote Future for America, which calls themselves a prophecy ministry, and they're based in Arkansas. They ran an ad featuring an image of the Pope and Donald Trump in front of an American flag, so you know things are going well already. And it had a shit ton of text talking about how everything is going to blow up in the next little bit. It's they're doing some prophesying, culminating in, and they quoted some Bible verses and they said that Trump would be the last president of the United States.
Oh God!
And that Trump's trouble with the Democrats was predicted in the Bible, which
really.
I mean, boy, you mean to say you found a Bible verse that has to do with politicians clashing with the other side of the aisle? Amazing. Good job. Pretty impressive stuff. But the real prophecy, the amazing one, is that next month, the 18th of July in the year of our Lord 2020, Islam is going to Islam, not any specific group, but the entire religion of Islam is going to detonate a nuclear device in Nashville, Tennessee.
Wow! So why Nashville? Do they say?
It just looks like it would blow up pretty. I have no idea why Nashville.
They don't like country music,
right? Because people in Arkansas needed to come up with the idea with an ideal target, and all they could do was look left and look right, and they were like, Oklahoma? Nah, let's go the other direction.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. So weird. There you go. Let's all wait and pray, and hopefully, you can't stop a prophecy from coming true, because it's because that's the Lord telling you something's going to happen. So,
and when it doesn't come true, that's when the real test begins.
Right,
and it's every single time.
Well, I mean, in this case, what they'll do is they'll rejoice. Our ad in the paper worked. We prevented it from happening by running an ad in the Nashville Tennessean. We did it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh my God. Are they going to gather? I want to know if they're going to gather. Is there a good place to view an atomic blast in Nashville? Is there I don't know.
I don't know.
I love it. I cannot tell you how much I love it when they make a big, bold prediction like this. It is my favorite thing.
Well, that's how you get a little bit of attention, right? Like,
yeah.
Because I mean, if you're a prophet and you're just the price of avocados is going to go up, right? Like, that's not gonna get you anywhere, right?
No, you got to go big and you got to go hard.
Yeah.
And Seventh-day Adventists, they're used to they know how like their whole thing started when a guy predicted the end of the world and then it ain't come.
And it started a whole thing.
So
someone was wrong wholesale. And people were like, "Yep, this is the guy. This movement. This is the one.
This one has some stuff going for it."
I mean, he was wrong, but he had some panache.
He forgot to carry the 2. It's not his fault. It's hard. Math is hard. Biblical math is the hardest kind of math.
Really advanced, advanced stuff.
Anyway, I'm looking. I hope Nashville's okay. I hope that they'll be fine. The editor of the paper said that he doesn't want that to happen again. But I just think it's great.
A nuclear bomb.
Right.
The world just can't handle. Oh, okay.
The ad itself. But I say more. Do more of these ads. Make bold predictions. Spend your money telling us about it. I want to see it. Because look, you say that like if you want to get publicity, you make the big prediction. They didn't just make the big prediction. They bought the publicity. They actually paid for the publicity for it. So
yeah, that's true. Huh.
I don't even know what they're doing, but we'll see. July 18th. Look for it.
Oh, that's just coming up.
Don't go to Nashville.
See, I love the short timetable.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
The best like wishful thinking in the world, right?
Yeah.
When these guys are like, yeah, it's coming up in just a few weeks.
Yeah.
Coming up in a month now, right? Like,
exactly.
Okay, let's all gather round and watch you be wrong.
Yeah, I know. Can we be there and videotape your response, your reaction to when this does or does not happen?
They better be live streaming the damn thing.
Oh, they better be. Let's write to them. Let's everybody start a write-in campaign. Find out who these people are and email them.
That's funny.
Yeah, there is actually, you know what? I'm going to give you the web page so that you can all go there. midnightcry.news. Ooh. I don't know what that means, but go ahead and go to midnightcry.news and then you can learn more, and maybe you can send them an email saying, please live stream this.
And point it at faces.
Yeah. We need to see the look on your face when this does and or does not happen.
Either your face melting off.
Well, they won't be. They'll be safely tucked away in Arkansas. They're safe.
They're not going to go watch it?
Well, maybe they will. I don't know. It seems like they wouldn't go toward a nuclear blast. That seems like the place you don't want to be. Is my guess. Anyway, listen, if you guys do decide to write into them, let us know how they respond. You can tell us anything you need to tell us at podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, hey, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist. Click the like button. You won't regret it.
And while you're on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It is a closed group, but we will let you in. Also find us on Twitter at TGIA Atheist. Hey, Dan.
Hey.
You know, sometimes it is possible to be incredibly right about something.
Well,
yeah. you have your source of information, and you've got it all worked out. You have it all figured out, but you're completely wrong. And I'm talking.
Yeah,
I'm talking specifically in this case about one Mr. Scott Lively, who you might recognize that name, everybody. That's one of the guys who was behind Uganda's Kill the Gays bill back in probably about 6-ish years ago. That criminalized homosexuality, with the death penalty in Uganda. It was horrible. Well, anyway, he likes to get online and talk. We all do, right?
Considering, every third person in America has 2 podcasts. Yeah, we all like to get online and talk.
Anyway, and he's sitting here, he's talking with his buddy, one Mr. What's his name? Richard May. And
both handsome devils.
Oh yeah. This is on their breaking news Bible study. That's the name of the show. Breaking news Bible study.
Let's hear what they have to say.
For me, the Bible is clear that slavery is an unfortunate event, but so are bad kings and wars and famines, and that it's not something to lose your mind over.
Right. Well, that's true. And people find themselves in, look, my father was very severely mentally ill. My family was destroyed by his behavior. Now, I could spend the rest of my life sitting in a chair and crying about what a terrible lot I got in life, but I didn't. And I overcame my adversities, and I've forgiven my father,
Do you see Italians today suffering from the discrimination on the war on mafia?
Or for having been slaves in the South, right?
Yes.
The Italians were brought in as slaves too in significant for a while.
So there is a perspective in all of this. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is that from a biblical point of view, there are things much worse. For example, which is worse biblically, polygamy or witchcraft? Witchcraft by far.
By far, yeah.
All right.
Polygamy is actually accommodated in the Mosaic law.
Exactly. Now I'm going to hit a nerve with this one. Which is worse, slavery or homosexuality?
Homosexuality by far.
By far.
I mean,
I think that's something we need to herald that. I mean, come on, guys. Our priorities are all mixed up.
You have got to love a clip that ends with them saying our priorities are all mixed up. I don't care why they're saying it. It's very, you are correct, sir. Your priorities are all mixed up. But they're also correct in their interpretation of the Bible.
Oh, yeah. No, they are.
The Bible 100% says slavery is fine, and 100% says being gay is not.
Mm-hmm.
They're just wrong about what they're supposed to actually believe. Like, do you believe the Bible or do you believe current society? Yeah, we figured some shit out since thousands of years ago that stuff was written.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I just don't know how. I mean, I guess I it
is shocking, though, to hear someone in modern day times trying to downplay the badness of slavery. Like,
gleefully, Dan.
Shocking.
Their little smirks on their faces as they sort of they know they're saying something that is incendiary. That's horrifying, right?
That's wrong. That's going to really
morally. They don't know that it's morally wrong, but they know they're going to set off people, right? And that people are going to be, find this offensive. Because it is offensive. Essentially, the Bible is offensive. The Bible's awful. It's a terrible book.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to and if you have to sit there and ignore, like most Christians do, ignore these bad parts and ignore how clear it is on certain issues, right?
Yeah.
Then what are you doing? Why are you just why this attachment to this piece of shit book? If you have to just pick out these little parts here and there where Jesus kind of sort of sounds like an okay guy, right?
If you guys would just listen to yourselves, just you guys play the clip back for yourselves until you hear it. Because what you just did was downplay the badness of slavery.
Yeah.
That's what you did.
Yeah. Well, and then also just the classic old white guy thing of just I have my challenges in my life.
Oh, my God.
The implication here, of course, is that come on, black people. Right? Like,
pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
What's
all
wrong
of
with you? You know?
Yeah, exactly. I faced one challenge, and therefore all of the institutional challenges that you face,
and
get over it.
There's actually a funny little nugget. If the rest of it wasn't also awful, there's also an awful funny nugget in it where he's talking about his father's mental illness, and he goes, and I found a way to forgive him.
Right.
He doesn't go into details like what his father maybe did, but he's couching it all in terms of mental illness. And it's like, if he was really mentally ill,
yeah,
like, and maybe he wasn't in control of his faculties or whatever, like,
or just, and the other point of that, the other thing about that is, I love somebody going, well, I grew up with a mentally ill father and in a horribly abusive environment. And look at me, I turned out great. No problems here. Slavery's okay too, everybody. By the way, I have no problems. I'm completely sorted out. There's nothing wrong with me. Slavery's fine. Stop whining about it, everybody. Well, listen, we had some folks write into us and call into us, and so let's get to that. Nathan wrote in, and he's referencing somebody who wrote into us last week. He says, ex-Mennonite and seminary dropout. I am responding to Paul of the email this last week regarding the Brethren in Christ Church. While I agree that Mennonites, BIC, and other Anabaptists have some great programs, and am proud of my ancestors who refused to fight in wars for their conscience, there are distinct institutional violences. Remember, we talked about this too. Paul had talked about how it was nice that they weren't as violent.
Right.
While the academic side of the Mennonite Church is peaceful, accepting, and open, to the point that it turned me into an ally for LGBTQ plus causes, the Mennonite Church has, quote, royalty, or certain families with privilege. They ignored a prominent theologian's sexual abuse of members for a very long time, and have a preference for harmony over taking stands that are pro-LGBT or concerned about economic justice.
Oh, wow.
Mainly so that they can take in the money from the 2/3 extremely conservative parts of the church. Our obsession with peace brings us to shunning healthy conflict. My experience with the Mennonite Church is obviously less peachy than Paul's in the BIC, but it should serve to remind that not all violence is physical, and religious institutions can commit violence on basis of policy.
Interesting.
So thanks for writing in, Nathan.
Yeah.
I think that's a very valid point, that not all violence is physical. And it is a violence to not take a stand when an injustice is right there in front of you. That's and also to do nothing when bad things are happening in the world, including, I got to say, fighting. Not all wars are just, but there may have been some wars that they weren't participating in that kind of needed to be fought. And so,
yeah,
as the quote says, and I don't know who it's attributed to, silence always takes the side of the oppressor.
Yeah. Nice. Okay.
Yeah. We had somebody call into us, did we not?
We did. Yeah. This is Barry calling in. And so we talked about BYU, that's Brigham Young University.
Right.
And the fact that Brigham Young was pro-slavery, terrible racist. Obviously. And so a lot of people are out there in the world are sort of questioning, should Brigham Young, as a historical figure, have his name on something like, the LDS Church's university down in Provo, Brigham Young
sort
University.
Of flagship educational portal. So
much so that they've rebranded their other schools to be, BYU Idaho, right? Or BYU, like they've they're all in on this guy, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and obviously,
But like
we took the stance that like, well, yeah, but the LDS Church doesn't ever apologize for anything, and to do that, they would have to acknowledge some past racism and actually address it.
And they are slow to change in the best of times.
Right.
When they're under fire, it's basically never going to happen. Well, right. Barry has some thoughts about that.
Hey guys, Barry from the Phoenix area again. Just wanted to comment on you guys mentioning that BYU might never change the name and offer a possible solution for that. See, I follow college sports pretty closely, particularly college football. And currently the NCAA and the Southeastern Conference are essentially targeting the state of Mississippi, banning them from hosting any championship games or official tournaments until they change their state flag. So I thought maybe something similar for BYU, if enough people write in or call the NCAA, start some sort of petition or something like that. At the very least, it would force them to address why they refuse to change the name. Just a thought. Keep up the good work. You guys have a good day.
Yeah, it's great.
See, now that's brilliant.
Yeah.
You got to hit them where it hurts.
Yeah.
And where it hurts is
college sports.
There's some pride in sports.
Yeah.
I mean, BYU has lots of rules, including things like students can't have tattoos, for example, unless they play sports, at which point a lot of those rules get very, very wobbly. So I think that you start threatening their sports, an old Cougar Stadium might not be quite so hospitable to the founder's name. I feel like there's an easy out, which is that BYU should just rebrand the way KFC did. No, we're not Kentucky Fried Chicken anymore. We're just KFC now. BYU can just be like, no, it doesn't stand for anything. It's like the Learning Channel. Remember when there was a Learning Channel? And then they were just like, no, we're just TLC. It doesn't stand for that anymore. So nobody learned anything anyway.
It's BYU University.
It's just BYU. Where do you go to BYU? What does that stand for? BYU. It's just letters.
Just what you call it.
It's just a bunch of letters. Get over it.
I don't think they're gonna fool anyone with that one though.
Oh,
I don't think that works. I think it's obviously I don't even know if this would work. Right? No. Like BYU is and the LDS Church mainly, that's the real issue. They are loath to bend to this kind of pressure.
Well, and not only that, but
Brigham Young. Like, this is their guy. Like Joseph Smith is obviously a big pivotal deal, but Brigham Young, holy crap, this is his church. They are the Brighamites. If you actually sort of look at how the branch of Mormonism split, they're the biggest one. They're the most successful in numbers and monetarily of any of the Mormon movement, right?
Yeah.
But
I think that the reorganized church would kill to have anywhere near that 100 billion. If they could have 1 billion, they'd be pretty happy.
Oh my God, no kidding. And so they're not giving up on this guy. He is their foundational guy. No matter how much script, the story of Mormonism is that it's Joseph Smith. These guys, you can't do it without Brigham Young.
Yeah, it's true.
As a key figure. So they're gonna, sooner or later they're gonna have to figure out what they're going to do, but it's not going to be by throwing old Brother Brigham under the bus.
Well, there's also the trick of, okay, so let's say that they do finally acknowledge the racist history of Brigham Young and they want to get rid of that. Guess what? They're going to have to change the name of every fucking building on that campus because Abraham Smoot was a racist. And all of these guys that have things named after them were wildly racist people.
Yeah. And apparently even the law school, I don't remember what the issue was, but Reuben C. Clark or whatever is a problematic figure, right? And so
they got nobody.
They're fucked.
Yeah.
So
yeah, just change the whole religion. Just
if they want to get good on race, they do. They
jettison the whole thing.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have some folks to thank?
We do indeed, Dan. We have 3 new patrons who signed up on Patreon. They went to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, and clicked on the support tab and followed it on over to Patreon. So we have one new deacon, Glaurung the Deceiver.
Ah!
Yeah.
A Tolkien reference.
Yes. I don't know if I said that correctly. We have a new priest, E.W. E-Dubs.
E-Dubs.
Looks like we might be welcoming E-Dubs back into the fold.
Welcome back to the fold.
We can now see these kind of details.
Yeah, you've got the priesthood this time. That's good.
Woo. And then we have a new elder, Dan.
Whoa.
Robert.
Well, peace be upon all of you. You guys are amazing. Look, it's not that hard to become one of the best people in the world. All you have to do is go to our website and click that tab, and you're on your way to being one of the best people in the world, like all of these people.
And
so thank you guys so much. And
not
we got
just
one more.
them. We've got our top donor, Dan, our Lord and Savior, Davis,
the bestest of the best people in the world.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah.
What was your first idea, or your first sense of or mental image, rather, of Jesus when you were growing up?
Well, here's the thing. Mormonism went hard for a couple of images in our time. There was handsome-ish, long-haired. I mean, it's that long-haired white Jesus guy in the red robe. Like, that is the Jesus of Mormondom. They just switched him up, by the way. They just barely launched basically a different white Jesus.
There's new Jesus?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they went for another guy. He's a little more gaunt. I didn't like him. Anyway.
Oh, really? Okay. Huh.
But yeah, you got yourself a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, flowing-maned, beautiful Jesus.
Yeah.
And you know, there's also the sculpture that was on Temple Square that was so handsome, but very much the Northern European Jesus, which seems true to the time and place of the Bible, right?
Yeah. No, that I mean, it's all I've ever seen of Jesus, right?
Right. Yeah. Definitely in our growing up, there were no images of a Middle Eastern or black Jesus.
Oh,
that's
dear
for
God,
sure.
no. Are you kidding me? How dare you? Sacrilege.
Right. Well, recently there was a dust-up when a pretty popular, though possibly fairly controversial, activist named Sean King basically said, you know, he basically pointed out that with all of the racist statues coming down, why are we leaving up white Jesus? It's basically a tool for white supremacy in the United States, and he called for them to come down, and then all of hell done broke loose, and everybody in the world started screaming, and all of the Christians started running around in circles like they were on fire.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think social pressure could be brought to bear on the idea of white Jesus, but your Jesus statue, as long as it's on your property, right? Like, it's if it's on government property, yeah, but we already had reason to get rid of that.
Even black
on
Jesus, we want off of the government property.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, but it also kind of, like, if you do want your racist general on a horse statue on private property, we probably don't, so what are we going to do? right?
Right.
It's
People are going to be mad about it.
Yeah, exactly. And and call you out for it. But like, you can do that. We're talking about public space and who cities and public organizations are choosing to honor, right? And we already don't do that for Jesus. So,
but that's not what Christians hear when they hear, "Hey, take down white Jesus." What Christians hear when they hear that is, "They're oppressing us again. They're coming for our Jesus. They're going to use guns and make us take him down or whatever." And they are losing their damned minds about the damn thing.
I know.
It's amazing.
Silly.
But can we stop and just point out the fact that he's right? That black Jesus or white Jesus is 100% white supremacy propaganda.
Yeah.
The image of Jesus as a white person is just to make white people feel superior and and this was a beautiful move on the part of white Christians in America anyway, when they started forcing their Christianity on the slaves that they had brought over from Africa. And made them accept white Jesus as their image of deity.
Yeah. Well, I think white people would have a really hard time, right?
Right.
With an ethnically and sort of, correct
Middle Eastern,
Jesus. That like, I think they would probably get behind the no graven images like really fast. Right? Like, be a great way to enforce that.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? That's a very good point, because the Bible specifically prohibits them from making an image of Jesus.
Yeah.
They just ignored that part.
Right. And made him white.
And then they made him white.
Lest anybody be confused by the story in the Bible,
right.
This Jesus is white.
Right. Yeah.
Don't.
Sure, maybe some of the other ones, Cain was dark, and at least if you go by certain narratives, Ham's wife, who's traditionally considered Egyptus, she was black, and so blackness continued through there. But everybody else was in the Bible, all the good people, them's white folk. In spite of the fact that literally, and you can look this image up, somebody at one point did a map of the world and then drew this tiny little circle in the Middle East and said everything in the Bible happens within this little circle. And that is true, and it's all in this tiny little thing. And now I should say there are white people in the Bible. It's just that all of the white people in the Bible are the Romans, who are the cops that killed Jesus, not Jesus his damn self. So,
I mean, you say white. I mean, we are saying Italian, right?
Jesus Christ. Oh, they didn't used to be white. That's true. They've only recently been granted whiteness, the Italians. Only in the last half century or so. Anyway, I just think it's amazing that, like, for the Christians, what they of course glommed onto with Sean King saying that images of white Jesus should come down, what they glommed onto was, oh no, they're attacking our Jesus. But what they should have, but that's an obvious deflection from the fact that he's 100% correct, even if you take their fucking religion to be true. Even if you believe in Christianity, he's still right.
Yeah.
It's still a white supremacy thing that you're holding on to.
Yep.
That imagery. And until you can reconcile that, guess what? All of the claims about your religion being like institutionally racist, you're not going to get past them.
Yeah.
You're not going to get around them. The imagery is right there in your damn church.
Yeah. Yep.
I think it's amazing. I think it's very funny to watch people like Mike Huckabee just scream and shout about about something that nobody's calling for, which is like nobody's saying that the government should force these churches to get rid of this.
No.
And that's the dodge that he did. That's the non sequitur that he went after, was that the government can't come and make you take down your image of Jesus. No one's calling for that.
Right.
What we're calling for is for you to acknowledge how fucking racist your religion is.
Yeah.
But, that would be hard.
Well, and again, there's your whiteness, right?
Yeah.
No longer associated with your God.
Yeah.
Right. And that is like I put myself back into kind of the mindset of like, okay, like here I am, I'm in Mormon church, right? And if they had rolled out an actual Semitic Jesus, right?
Yeah.
I know that I would have had a problem with that.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, I know that. And I know that everybody around me would have just been like, but thank God I'm no longer there. Right?
Right.
And believing things like, no, I'm not racist. Right?
Right. Totally. And boy, the second you rolled out that image to all of those white Mormons in that church and they all gasped, and then you just said, well, are you being racist? Oh, they would have instant justifications for why they're not being racist just
right.
because they reject this dark Jesus, this dusky Jesus that has been placed in front of their eyes.
Oh my God,
like,
it's amazing.
The defense mechanisms kick in fast and they kick in hard, and and that's not a Mormon thing. That is just a comfortable in your privilege thing.
Honestly, if we weren't in these COVID times, a wonderful thing to do would be to go down during General Conference and hold up
an image.
Actually, it couldn't be an actual image of Jesus, but it more accurately portrayed Jesus. And
it'd be pretty impressive if you got an actual image of him.
But ask people how they feel about it.
Yeah.
Right. How do you feel about, and ask them a couple questions that get them to the point of, now you show them the picture. Well, isn't this what that person would look like? And why not? And watch them squirm, because they would know.
Yeah.
That they were just outed. And then they'd have to try to figure it out on the fly. And oh my God, it'd be amazing. That'd be amazing footage to have. I wish we could do it.
Well, maybe next non-corona conference we'll pull something like that.
We should. I'm going to put that on my post COVID-19 list of things. Right here. Actually, I have it.
So,
okay, I'm writing it down.
Look for that, everybody, sometime in the year 2027, when we can all finally come out of our holes again.
Absolutely. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Well, if you would like to talk to us at all about what color your Jesus is, please feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you can call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click the like button.
And while you're on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It is a closed group. We will let you in. Also, follow us on Twitter @TGIAtheist.
Yeah, please do that. Hey, speaking of Facebook, thanks to Amy for being a moderator there. We're looking for some new moderators, so feel free to write in if that's something that you're willing to do, and if you feel like you have a good sense of the members only lounge. We're trying to beef up the moderation, but thanks so much to Amy for being part of that, and thanks to Mackenzie also for being there for us and still posting stuff on the web on the Facebook page.
Yeah, amazing. And a big thanks goes out to the Red Rock Hot Club and to Gordon Johnston for the use of their music.
And thanks to you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. maybe those Muslims were onto something, Dan.
With what?
With the whole, like, wearing masks thing, right?
Oh.
Like they were way ahead. Like Muslim women were way ahead of the curve.
You trying to work up some B-roll for the end of the show? Some outtakes?
No. No, how dare you?
You know that they were claiming that there are ladies who are claiming that that's what's next. First they make us wear masks pretending that it's about COVID-19, and then they'll make us wear burqas.